"Oscar, this demonstrates a lack of commitment to our team," declared Mr. Harrison, reclining in his chair as if dismissing me were a personal favor. "My name is Oscar Miller. I dedicated the past 5 years of my life to generating millions for Tektron Dynamics, while my personal finances remained stagnant. At 32, I was still browsing the sale racks, still driving the 10-year-old Toyota my parents co-signed for during college. I sat there, observing Mr. Harrison, the vice president of sales, impeccably dressed in a bespoke suit, sporting a tan only achievable with frequent escapes to warmer climates, the kind you don't acquire in Charlotte, North Carolina during February. He awaited my pleas, my explanations, my outburst. "I understand," I replied calmly. His eyebrows shot up, clearly not the anticipated response. "Your employment is terminated, effective immediately. Please clear your desk. Miss Peterson will guide you to HR for your exit paperwork." I nodded, rose, and extended my hand across his expansive mahogany desk. He hesitated before accepting the handshake. "Thank you for the opportunity," I said sincerely. The walk back to my workspace was silent, everyone feigning industriousness, stealing furtive glances. News travels rapidly in an open-plan office. I felt their eyes trailing me as I retrieved a cardboard box from the supply closet. My belongings were minimal: a coffee mug gifted by my sister, a few functioning pens, and a small succulent I'd miraculously kept alive under harsh fluorescent lighting for 4 years. 4 years at this firm, and all my possessions fit into a container smaller than a microwave oven. Miss Peterson hovered nearby, keys jingling, watching me as if I might abscond with the stapler or ignite my desk on my departure. I had personally secured over $3 million in new business last quarter alone. $3 million, and they feared I might steal office supplies? As I headed towards the elevator, Mr. Thompson emerged from his office. Mr. Thompson, my direct supervisor, the man who'd claimed credit for half my deals, the man who'd repeatedly assured me a salary increase was pending, awaiting only Mr. Harrison's approval. He avoided eye contact. "Ensure you return your security badge," he mumbled before retreating into his office. I stepped into the elevator, my badge already in hand. As the doors closed, I caught my reflection in the polished steel. I didn't appear fired. I didn't look angry. I felt lighter, as though a significant weight had been lifted. I just didn't realize it yet. I joined Tektron Dynamics directly after graduation. A business degree from the State University, a respectable GPA, nothing remarkable, except for my ability to connect with people, truly engage them. I could discern their needs and find solutions. My father, a veteran of 30 years in pharmaceutical sales, always said, "A good salesman sells products. A great salesman solves problems." He'd missed countless sporting events, but ensured we never lacked for anything. He was immensely proud when I secured the Tektron Dynamics position, calling it a solid company with significant growth potential. For the first 3 years, I believed him. I worked 60-hour weeks, mastering industrial automation. I cultivated relationships with manufacturing clients throughout the Southeast, earning Rookie of the Year, followed by Top Performer the subsequent year. I believed I was building something substantial. Then I witnessed Mr. Thompson's promotion over me, despite my sales figures eclipsing his by a factor of 2. "He possesses more management experience," they explained. Then I saw him receive credit for the Peterson deal, a client I'd spent 7 months nurturing. Then he received a company vehicle, followed by smaller, insidious slights. Meeting invitations mysteriously absent from my inbox, client information delayed, condescending comments in meetings like, "Are you certain that's the optimal approach for this client?" Small cuts, day after day. I persevered, continued delivering results, until last month when I closed the Miller manufacturing deal, $3 million, the largest contract of the year. I'd flown to Denver 3 times at my own expense because the company deemed the expenditure unjustified. I worked weekends, missed my cousin's wedding to make it happen. When the contract finalized, Mr. Harrison took the team out to celebrate. Everyone except me. I discovered their celebratory outing through Instagram posts the following day. When I finally summoned the courage to request a raise, my 3rd attempt, Mr. Harrison cited inopportune timing, claiming the company was restructuring compensation packages. That evening, I updated my resume for the first time in 5 years. A week later, Miss Evans, a former Tektron Dynamics client who'd transitioned to Stellar Publishing, contacted me on LinkedIn. "We should reconnect," her message read. We met for coffee. She mentioned their search for a leader for their new business development division, someone with technical sales expertise, someone like me. I used one vacation day, a day I'd earned, for the interview. Someone in the Stellar Publishing lobby recognized me and informed Mr. Thompson. That was yesterday. I sat in my car in the Tektron Dynamics parking lot for nearly an hour after security confiscated my badge, just sitting there, the air conditioning running, gazing at the building where I'd spent 5 years of my life, 5 years of early mornings and late nights, 5 years of promises of care, family, and perseverance. My phone buzzed, a text from Mr. Thompson. "Sorry about how things unfolded, merely adhering to protocol." I switched off my phone without responding and drove home. My apartment felt different upon my arrival, strangely emptier despite the unchanged surroundings. I placed my box on the kitchen counter and opened a beer. Then I sat on my couch and did something I hadn't done in years. Absolutely nothing. No emails, calls, or proposals to review. I simply sat, sipping my beer, watching the afternoon sun illuminate my living room wall. Around 7, I reactivated my phone. 3 missed calls from my parents. A text from my sister inquiring about my well-being. Apparently, Mr. Thompson had contacted her searching for me, a transgression I hadn't realized was possible. And an email from Miss Evans at Stellar Publishing. "Could you come in tomorrow, 10 a.m.? The team would like to meet you." My response? Yes. Then I called my parents. "They did you a favor, son," my father declared after I recounted the events. "Not what I anticipated." "How so?" I questioned. "They revealed their true selves, son. No more illusions, no more uncertainties. Now you know." He was right. All those instances where I'd given them the benefit of the doubt, blaming myself for insufficient effort, inadequate visibility, or failing to navigate the corporate game effectively. All those times I'd swallowed my pride, relentlessly striving, believing loyalty held value. It didn't, not to them. I was dismissed for utilizing a single day of earned vacation to pursue opportunities they'd never provide. Fair compensation, respect, a future. "What do you need, honey?" my mother added, joining the conversation. "Want us to come down this weekend?" "No," I replied, a newfound clarity washing over me. "I'm fine, actually. I think this might be the best thing that could have happened." And I genuinely meant it. For the first time in a long while, I felt something other than exhaustion, something other than the low-level anxiety that had become my constant companion. I felt free. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I donned my finest suit, the one I'd purchased for crucial client meetings that Mr. Harrison always managed to attend instead of me. I looked good, rested, and prepared. The interview at Stellar Publishing exceeded my expectations. They'd already vetted my references and spoken with 3 former clients, including Miller Manufacturing. They knew my worth. They offered me the position on the spot, Regional Director of Business Development, double my Tektron Dynamics salary plus commission. I accepted without hesitation. "When can you start?" Miss Evans inquired. I smiled. Immediately. I signed the Stellar Publishing contract on Friday afternoon and commenced work the following Monday. They provided me with a private office, a company credit card, and a team of 3 sales associates. Most importantly, they offered something Tektron Dynamics had never provided, a clear path forward. "We want you to cultivate this division," Miss Evans explained. "Build it from the ground up. Your reputation with clients is why we hired you." For the initial 2 weeks, everything was ideal. I assimilated into the systems, met the team, and began formulating a strategy. I even sent LinkedIn connection requests to my former Tektron Dynamics colleagues. Most accepted, a few sent congratulatory messages. Mr. Thompson and Mr. Harrison did not respond. I didn't care. I was too occupied with the feeling of finally belonging. Then the cease and desist letter arrived. "Mr. Miller is in violation of his non-compete agreement," it stated. He is hereby ordered to terminate his employment with Stellar Publishing immediately or face legal action. I'd never signed a non-compete agreement. I was certain of it. I contacted Stellar Publishing's legal department in a state of panic. "Don't worry," the attorney assured me. "Send me all your onboarding paperwork from Tektron Dynamics. We'll handle this." I returned home that night and searched through my files. I located my original offer letter, employment agreement, and most recent performance review. Nothing about a non-compete agreement, nothing restricting future employment. The next day, Tektron Dynamics attorney forwarded a document bearing my signature, a non-compete agreement dated 3 years prior, immediately following my Rookie of the Year award. It prohibited me from working for any competitor within a 100-mile radius for 1 year after leaving Tektron Dynamics. But I hadn't signed it. The signature resembled mine, but I had no recollection of ever seeing this document. Did you ever sign anything during a performance review? Perhaps something they presented as routine? Stellar Publishing's attorney asked. I reflected. 3 years prior, during my first performance review after receiving the award, Mr. Harrison had presented me with a stack of papers. "Standard paperwork updates," he'd said. "Just sign where indicated." I'd trusted him. "They're claiming Stellar Publishing is a direct competitor," the attorney continued, "which is a stretch given your backgrounds in publishing equipment and industrial automation, respectively. But they're aggressively pursuing this. This could become expensive." "Will I lose my job?" I asked, the familiar knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. "Not if I can prevent it. But be prepared. They might attempt to tarnish your reputation. This feels personal." It was personal. The next day, I received an email from one of my largest former clients at Tektron Dynamics. "Just received a peculiar call from your former boss," it read. "He implied you misappropriated proprietary client information upon your departure. He wanted to know if you'd contacted me. I informed him you've always acted with integrity. What's happening?" He forwarded the email to our legal team. My hands trembled with anger. They weren't simply trying to prevent me from working. They were attempting to destroy my reputation, the very asset that had made me valuable despite their efforts to diminish me. That evening, my phone rang, an unfamiliar number. "Oscar, this is Jessica from Tektron Dynamics Accounting," a hushed, nervous voice said. "I'm not supposed to be calling you, but you were always kind to me. I need to know something. They're claiming you stole client files, but it's untrue. I saw Mr. Harrison in the server room the day after you left. He was downloading your entire client folder. Then he deleted the original files and told IT you must have taken them." "Would you be willing to share that information with my attorney?" I inquired. "I can't," she replied. "I need this job. I just thought you should know what you're facing." She hung up before I could express my gratitude. I sat in my new office, gazing at the Charlotte skyline, realizing this wouldn't be as straightforward as walking away. They weren't going to let me succeed. They were going to attempt to pull me back down. And for the first time since my dismissal, I was genuinely angry. The legal battle protracted for weeks. Stellar Publishing stood by me, but the stress was taxing. Each day brought new accusations from Tektron Dynamics: client theft, corporate espionage, breach of contract. It felt like they were throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick. "We need to find leverage," my attorney stated. "Currently, it's your word against theirs regarding the non-compete agreement, and even though we believe it's forged, proving it will be costly." I nodded, recalling Jessica's account of the client files, of Mr. Harrison in the server room. A pattern emerged, a willingness to lie, manipulate, fabricate evidence. "What about my commission payments?" I asked suddenly. "Last quarter, I secured the Miller deal, $3 million. My commission should have been substantial, but my final paycheck was standard. No bonus, no commission." The attorney made a note. "Good. That's concrete evidence we can investigate." That evening, I received a text from Mr. Thompson. "We should talk, not about the legal matters. This is important." Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop midway between our offices. He appeared dreadful, Dark circles under his eyes, a rumpled shirt, none of his usual polished demeanor. "I can't be linked to this conversation," he said upon sitting down. "I could lose everything." I waited. "The non-compete agreement? It's not just you. Mr. Harrison has been doing this for years. He gets people to sign routine paperwork during reviews, then adds pages later. The signatures are genuine, but the documents aren't what people signed." "Why are you telling me this?" He gazed at his coffee. "Because you're not the first person they've done this to, but you're the first who fought back, and they're scared." "Why would they be afraid of me? I just want to do my job." Mr. Thompson leaned forward. "It's not about you, it's about the money. The commission structure at Tektron Dynamics isn't what anyone believes. The percentages in our contracts aren't accurate. Mr. Harrison has been skimming from every significant deal for years. That's why they're so aggressively pursuing you. They fear you'll uncover the truth." My mind raced back to all those deals, all that money, the commissions that never seemed to align with my calculations, the bonuses consistently less than promised due to unexplained adjustments and overhead allocations. "How do you know this?" I asked. "I stumbled upon the real records accidentally. I was searching for a client file on Mr. Harrison's computer when he stepped out of a meeting. His spreadsheets were open. 2 sets of commission calculations, the actual figures and the ones dispersed. The difference was deposited into an account labeled Executive Performance Fund." "And you didn't say anything?" Mr. Thompson didn't deny it. "I have a mortgage, kids in private school. I told myself it was just how business operates." "Why tell me now?" "Because they're not just targeting you. They're setting you up. Mr. Harrison informed the board you manipulated the Miller contract numbers, inflating the deal to secure a larger commission. That's why they're claiming you stole files, to conceal the fraud they're pinning on you." I felt a chill. "But that's completely false. Miller Manufacturing can verify the contract value. They've already begun creating a paper trail, backdated emails, revised contracts. They're thorough, Oscar, and they have resources." I scrutinized Mr. Thompson's face, searching for deception. "Why should I believe you? You've never been on my side." He produced his phone. "Because I kept receipts." He showed me screenshots, commission spreadsheets, email exchanges, and bank transfers, all corroborating his claims. "Send those to me," I instructed. "If I do, I'm finished at Tektron Dynamics, probably in this industry." "You already are," I replied. "The only question is whether you go down with them or help me expose this." Mr. Thompson stared at me for a long moment, then began forwarding the emails. The evidence Mr. Thompson provided transformed everything. Not just my case, but potentially for dozens of former and current Tektron Dynamics employees defrauded of their rightful commissions. The scheme had been ongoing for years, potentially affecting millions in compensation. "This is far more significant than a non-compete dispute," my attorney said upon reviewing Mr. Thompson's documents. "This is systematic fraud. But we have a problem. Mr. Thompson is unwilling to testify. The screenshots and forwarded emails are considered hearsay without his testimony, and Tektron Dynamics possesses substantial legal resources. They could tie this up in court for years. We need more. We need someone with direct knowledge willing to testify." I considered Jessica from accounting, but she was too fearful of losing her job. I needed someone with nothing to lose, or better yet, someone who had already lost. That night, I compiled a list of everyone who had departed Tektron Dynamics in the past 2 years, individuals who had resigned abruptly or been dismissed under suspicious circumstances, individuals who, like me, might have begun questioning their commissions. One name stood out: Kevin Riley, a former top performer in the Western region who had resigned abruptly last year amidst rumors of substance abuse. I'd never believed those rumors. Kevin was a family man, a church elder, one of the most upright individuals I knew. I found him on LinkedIn. He was employed by a small company, earning significantly less than he would have at Tektron Dynamics. I sent him a message. Need to talk about Mr. Harrison and commissions at Tektron Dynamics. It's important." He responded within minutes, "I've been waiting for this call." We met the next day. Kevin didn't appear to have substance abuse problems. He looked like a man burdened by a heavy weight. "They fired me because I discovered the spreadsheets," he stated without preamble. "The same ones Mr. Thompson showed you, but I went further. I documented everything, tracked the money. It wasn't just commissions, it was expense account fraud, kickbacks from vendors, inflated project costs. Mr. Harrison and the CFO had an entire system." "Do you have proof?" Kevin nodded. "I have everything. Bank records, emails, the works. I was building a case to present to the board when Mr. Harrison found out. The next thing I knew, rumors about my substance abuse surfaced. Then a client complained about me being intoxicated at a meeting I never attended. 2 weeks later, I was dismissed." "Why didn't you fight back? Go to the authorities." "They threatened my family, Oscar." His voice steady, but his hands trembling slightly. "Nothing direct, just a conversation about how my wife's nursing position at City Hospital might be jeopardized if I caused trouble, how my children might not be welcomed back at their school. They have connections. They made that very clear." I felt sick. "But you kept the evidence?" "Every bit of it, on an encrypted off-site drive. I've been waiting for someone else to notice, someone they couldn't threaten in the same way, someone like me." "You don't have a family they can threaten? You've already been fired. And most importantly, you have Stellar Publishing behind you. They have resources too." We spent the next 3 hours examining Kevin's evidence. It was damning, not just for Mr. Harrison and Mr. Thompson, but for half the executive team at Tektron Dynamics. They'd systematically defrauded their sales force of millions in commissions for at least 6 years. "We need to report this to the authorities," I declared. "This is criminal." "I'm ready," Kevin replied, "but we need to be astute. These individuals won't go down without a fight." That night, I contacted Miss Evans and explained everything. "This could become complicated," I cautioned. "I understand if Stellar Publishing wants to distance themselves." Her response surprised me. "Distance ourselves? Oscar, we hired you because of your integrity. We're not just going to support you, we're going to help you end this. Tektron Dynamics has operated unethically for years, harming the entire industry. It's time someone challenged them." For the first time since this began, I felt like I might actually win. The case exploded faster than anyone anticipated. With Kevin's evidence and Stellar Publishing's legal resources, we didn't just file a countersuit against Tektron Dynamics. We reported everything to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the State Attorney General's office. The investigation progressed rapidly. Bank records were subpoenaed, witnesses were deposed. Former employees came forward with their own accounts of manipulation and fraud. 3 weeks after our initial filing, federal agents raided Tektron Dynamics headquarters with warrants. I wasn't there to witness it, but Mr. Thompson called me that evening. "They took everything," he said, his voice hollow. "Computers, servers, files. Mr. Harrison was escorted out in front of everyone, the CFO too." I remained silent. "I've been suspended pending investigation," he continued. "They're saying I could face criminal charges." "You probably will," I replied. "Your cooperation will be significant." A week later, Tektron Dynamics dropped their lawsuit against me. 2 days after that, their stock plummeted when news of the fraud investigation hit the business press. Former employees filed a class action lawsuit for unpaid commissions. Clients began abandoning them, unwilling to be associated with the scandal. Throughout it all, I remained focused on building my division at Stellar Publishing. I avoided interviews and refrained from gloating on social media. I simply performed my job. Then one morning, I received an email from Mr. Harrison's personal account. "We should talk. I can explain everything. Meet me for lunch?" I forwarded the email to my attorney without responding. The next day, the Business Journal published a story. Tektron Dynamics CEO and executive team resign amid fraud allegations. There was Mr. Harrison's photograph alongside a quote from the board chairman. "We are cooperating fully with authorities and are committed to rectifying this situation." I closed the browser tab and returned to work. 3 months to the day after my dismissal, the court ordered Tektron Dynamics to pay me $185,000 in back commissions plus damages. The check arrived via courier the following week. I didn't cash it immediately. I simply placed it on my desk and examined it, not because I needed validation, but because I wanted to remember the cost of reaching this point, the truth. 1 year later, I stood before the Stellar Publishing sales team, presenting our quarterly results. We doubled our division's revenue, expanded into 3 new markets, and built a reputation for honesty and transparency in our commission structure, attracting top talent from across the industry, including 3 former Tektron Dynamics employees who were part of the class action settlement. The news about Tektron Dynamics had faded from the headlines. Mr. Harrison and the CFO had accepted plea bargains. Mr. Thompson had avoided jail time by cooperating with prosecutors, but his sales career was effectively over. The company itself had been acquired by a competitor at a fraction of its former valuation. I rarely thought about any of them anymore. After the meeting, Miss Evans pulled me aside. "The board approved your promotion to vice president, effective next month." I thanked her, genuinely grateful but not surprised. We'd built something genuine, something that functioned. That evening, I drove to my parents' house for dinner. They had relocated to Charlotte 6 months prior, partly to be closer to me, partly because my father was finally ready to retire. He had closely followed the Tektron Dynamics saga, more invested in my vindication than I sometimes was. "Proud of you, son," he said as we sat on his back patio after dinner. "Not because you won, but because you did it right. You didn't let them embitter you. You didn't let them change who you are." I nodded, observing the sunset through the trees. "It was never about retribution." "I know," he replied. "It was about the truth." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. "So," he finally said with a smile, "Vice President, huh? Does this mean you're finally going to buy a new car?" I laughed. "Maybe. But I think I'll keep the Toyota a little longer. It reminds me of something important." "What's that?" "That the fastest way up isn't cutting corners. It's building something that endures." My father raised his glass. "I'll drink to that." So did I.